Hi Scorpio, welcome to your January 2019 love reading. It's Rena. Of course the train, right on cue. It's funny, that's a card I associate with Scorpio, the first one that I picked. So one, two, we have three major arcana cards, so that's pretty interesting. Just collecting these. The heart of the matter is the Eight of Cups. And this is a card of being in a situation where you're looking for something more from life. And even if you're single, that, you know, I would normally see this as somebody who is in a marriage, long-term relationship that they are not happy with, and they are realizing that they have to leave because maybe they are evolving spiritually and it just doesn't work. And it could even be that the relationship itself isn't bad, but it's just not on the same wavelength anymore. And if you're single, you may just be also in the mindset where you're in a spiritual awakening and you're kind of going away from the world in general. And so it's like, that can be a lonely time sometimes for people because they feel like no one understands them and they are letting go of familiar things. I mean, even like friendships or even things that you normally would do that would be so fun for you are no longer entertaining or fulfilling. You know, like kind of the partying life. I did get the Temperance card, so I'm thinking of something along that, where you're just taking life more seriously. Maybe you're in your 20s and you're in your first Saturn return in your late 20s, and it's like, it's getting old, all of that stuff, you know, going out on Saturday night and getting drunk and meeting somebody in a bar and it never leading to anything permanent. And yet you don't want to necessarily settle down and start a family. Maybe you really are in a spiritual kind of a place where you want to explore things that don't involve that kind of typical life. Some of you may want that. Maybe you're looking for something more serious and you do want to start a family. I mean, it depends on the stage of life. You know, you could be middle-aged and thinking, gosh, I have lived this certain lifestyle and I want something more, and along with it comes the person that you're with. So it's not to say that if you're with somebody that this is saying that they are bad or that they are being abusive or anything like that, because that might be one of the things that is bothering you, is that you're thinking, how can I even want to leave? This person treats me well. I would be like really a terrible person to even think of leaving. And yet you feel that yearning inside of you. I was just seeing how much time I had on my memory card, and I have 8 hours, but I'm not going to talk to you for 8 hours. Don't worry. The foundation card is the Ace of Pentacles. So this can be a card of, I don't know, like even if you have accepted a new job and you're moving house, and that is kind of like making you want to leave a lot of things behind. I don't know if that's true for anyone, but the Ace of Pentacles again can be that card of stability, you know, the pentacles relating to earth, and feeling a sense of wanting more of a long-lasting relationship. Maybe you've been in a pattern of seeing somebody and it ending within a few months, and you realize that you need to get away from that pattern because it just keeps repeating itself. The Ace of Pentacles can mean that you have met somebody possibly that has that kind of a feeling of being a permanent relationship, but you've met them recently and now you want to walk away from your current relationship too. What crosses you is the King of Swords. Hopefully this isn't your boss that you're having an affair with, but this can be a card of someone who is very emotionally abusive. Okay, so somebody who is cruel, and they are, they're mean to you. That's why I'm saying you may be going away from such a person because you realize now that it's not right what they're doing. And I know that sounds kind of weird because some people may say, well, obviously you should know if somebody's abusive, but it's not always the case, because if somebody's used to a certain type of behavior, maybe since they were young, it may not seem that it's that bad. But I often wonder if some of these people are narcissists and they're kind of gaslighting you, because I've been getting these cards, and since I've been reading about narcissism and gaslighting, I realize how big a deal it is and how destructive it is, how crazy making it is, and how so many people are suffering from these people because they are operating within the context of a relationship, but they are really conniving, and they're pretending that they really care sometimes, and then they do all sorts of terrible things. So it can feel like you don't know what is what, which end is up, because they might exhibit contradictory behavior. And yeah, so it can be very unfortunate to get mixed up with such a person, because you might actually feel that they are being sincere, and then they mess with your mind. But the King of Swords person, they can really do cruel things because they don't really feel their emotions. Their emotions are dead inside, I think, and that you're a water sign, so you are very sensitive, even though Scorpios sometimes give an air of being kind of above it all, and that you don't allow anybody to mess with you. I think you can still take things to heart, and it's always going to be that you are empathic. And sometimes empaths attract this very sort of person because they're energy vampires, and they sense that they can really sink their teeth into people who are caring and who will, forgive them if they do something wrong, and allow them to do some other wrong things, because you may give them a pass, and they take advantage of that. So anyway, if there's something like, I think that this is somebody, I don't think this is you, this is somebody who's out of touch with their feelings, okay? If there is like the odd, and that meaning kind of random, Scorpio out there who might have the moon in Aquarius, for example, or something along those lines, and they are capable of like the sudden, what would I call them? Just like you feel, you cut yourself off from your emotions. That might be a facet of you then, the King of Swords in the challenge position. In that case, you have to learn how to better integrate your sun and moon, for example, your outer ego and sense of identity with your emotional reactions. Because for somebody who has a sun in Scorpio and a moon in an air sign, for instance, it can be kind of distressing. You may feel like your emotions are something that you have to cut off when they get too strong. And it might even be when somebody really tells you that they care about you or something like that, and it's just too much for you. And so that's like a coping mechanism or a defense mechanism, and you just cut off from that. And that's going to create patterns. And the Eight of Cups could be sometimes, you know, an escape where you're acting like you're doing something noble, but really it's because you're afraid. So I think for most people, though, this King of Swords in the challenge position is somebody else who's out of touch with their emotions. Maybe they are an air sign like Aquarius or Libra or Gemini. The higher message is the Temperance card, and this is a card of balance of water, spirit, and earth, you know, material. And this means that, to me, this is a card of wisdom coupled with common sense. So if you feel like you must leave a relationship, Scorpio, for whatever reason, or if you simply are single and you feel like life is not satisfying you the way it used to, understand that you can have that sense of combining the spiritual and the material. That's like the best way to approach it, in my opinion, because a lot of times, and again, this is like with individual people's charts, especially if there's a lot of stuff happening with Neptune, the person can be very idealistic and they can think that there's like this perfect state of being, perfect relationship, perfect whatever, and they are always leaving because they're always in search of like the next greatest thing. And the Temperance card is about balance and seeing things from the material side as well as the spiritual side. And that means that you're not ungrounded. That means that you're not going off chasing some fantasy, looking for that fantasy partner, and you may be letting go of somebody who really is compatible with you and they really are somebody that is good for you. But you may find a flaw, you may find... I'm not saying if the person is like the King of Swords in the reverse, though, but just in general, that's what I was kind of going for. But also, this Temperance, I think of it with addiction issues. So maybe you have a pattern of getting involved with people who have drinking problems and things like that. And even with the Eight of Cups, they had this... I was reading this article or something, I don't know where I even saw it, online or somewhere, and they were talking about drinking problems with each of the cups, like what Four of Cups means, Five of Cups, and it's pretty funny, because, I mean, they weren't trying to be funny, but I can't remember what Eight of Cups, probably escapism through drinking, but like, you know, Five of Cups, drowning your sorrows if you've lost somebody, you know, Four of Cups, drinking when you're bored, you know. So the point is that there may be a need to, I don't know if this would be on your end or somebody else's end, to deal with the issue of addiction, because it might be impairing judgment and also other factors in the person's life. And then we have the mundane expression at this moment. We have the Knight of Wands. And this may, I think that in this particular context, because this could be like a playboy type, a womanizer, but in this context, unless this is a Sagittarius, this card is associated with Sag, and so is the Temperance card. So maybe the Sagittarius person is the one for you. But this card also represents kind of like having a devil-may-care attitude in life, having you know, an independence, a fun-loving, not trying to settle down kind of a vibe. And I do connect it to that Eight of Cups because you may be on some kind of a spirit quest. And you're looking for, you're trying to find yourself, maybe, Scorpio. And so rather than getting involved in a new relationship, maybe you need to be more like the Knight of Wands, where you are somebody who is more footloose and fancy-free, you know? And there's plenty of time for a relationship. It doesn't, maybe there's a good reason why you should be kind of free to explore, free to have adventures. What's coming in is represented by the Devil card. Look at what ensnares you. Again, this could be like addiction. And the thing about addiction is, besides the negative impact to your physical health and mental health and relationships, is the fact that when you're addicted to something, you're a slave to it. It means you're not free. The Knight of Wands wants freedom. And so the Devil card is a temptation of the flesh. If you know, we're talking about a romantic relationship, though. We're not. This is not a general topic. So this is just for love, and this could be Capricorn, the sign of Capricorn, which this is. Maybe this is a relationship with somebody who's a new relationship with a Capricorn individual. So that might be kind of reiterating or clarifying which earth sign it was. You are compatible as signs with Capricorn. And the other thing about the Devil card is that it is about relationships that are based on materialism or sex versus other things, and being able to differentiate between those types of relationships and understand that those types of relationships are one-dimensional, and that they not only can they be compulsive where you're drawn back into them, but they could be something that is negative in other aspects, that they're kind of debasing, if you will. The outcome is the Star card, and this is a card of hope, healing, feeling a sense of that your life is taking that you faith in the unseen, but also the belief that there are better days ahead. Sometimes when I see the Star card, I think this person's been through a lot, and now they're now they're healing from it. Again, with the Eight of Cups, it could be a situation where you had to leave something. Maybe that Eight of Cups is talking about something from your past in the last year. Maybe it's not even something that's happening this month, and maybe it was sometime in 2018 when you left a relationship, and these things have still been there for you, but you see the light at the end of the tunnel. Let's put it that way. It's associated with Aquarius, so maybe there's some kind of timing issue. In January, the sun goes into Aquarius, and so maybe that's when things start to feel like you've come out of the woods, and that you're really healing big time. But and maybe there's an Aquarius person that you have a strong feeling for. Now, I talked about the King of Swords. I don't think it's going to be that person, because this card is a very positive card. Okay, so whatever. It's the symbolism that counts. Okay, Scorpio. Well, I think I'm going to answer my doorbell. But I want to wish you a blessed New Year, and if you'd like a private reading, please click on the link below. Otherwise, take care. Bye.